All right, welcome back, my students. And today we're going to learn one of the fundamentals of great UX design. Now, without further ado, we're going to start now. You better get excited. Rock on. Now, what are the fundamental principles of great UX design? For designers working in the ever-changing field of user experience, it's always important to consider the fundamental principles of design at many levels. The nature of the work that we do constantly shifts and evolves. Whether we're designing for new technologies or different contexts, ranging from apps for personal use to cross-channel experiences. When we're called upon to solve design problems that haven't solved before, or the things that we haven't done or been able to find unique solutions for it, design principles provide a sound, a logical basis for creating creative, innovative solutions. For example, in one of the most recent years, we've seen many new trends in technology and other industries, such as cloud computing, the proliferation of the mobile devices or apps and the tablets, big data, the Internet of Things, and wearable computing. All of these trends have required us to look at design in a fresh look and create it with new interaction models, design patterns, and standards, many of which are still changing, creating new found evolution when it comes to these kinds of technologies or concepts or ideas. Visual design trend shifts as well, sometimes for better or sometimes for worse. It could be good or bad, either way. For recent examples for this, in the recent past, a few years ago, we saw the prevalent use of this small light gray fonts that were both too small or sometimes a little bit too low on the contrast for good readability for almost anybody, not just those with serious visual deficits. Now we're trying to look into larger fonts to solve that problem with readability. We're considering the different age groups and the different disabilities of people. Some have color blindness, some have deficits in the eyes. So we're trying to make that convenient for almost a very large portion of the target market. But no worries. We're trying our best to cater to almost everyone. That's the thing. But we're trying to do our best to give the best experience possible for both convenience for people with those kinds of conditions or those without one. Well, that's good empathy. Now, problem I just mentioned and the flat look everywhere. The flat look is a pleasing aesthetic for most of the parts, but not when it's hard to tell the difference between a text box and a button or just simply an animation. So, we're trying to avoid this kind of feel of a camo. So we're trying to differentiate the functional buttons and the ones that are just plain for design function or aesthetic purposes. But sometimes it's interchangeable nowadays. But we're trying our best to try to differentiate the two dimensions. Now, by paying attention to design principles which have their basis on human aspects, UX designers can avoid creating ill-considered design solutions. Now, I'm going to delve in further into the fundamental design principles here. The fundamental design principles. This question is broad as asking what are the fundamentals in medicine or engineering or in aerodynamics or astrology or space in general or physics. While there are specializations within the field of user experience or UX, here are things that are identifying some key fundamental principles of UX design. Here are the things that I have to tell you. Here are the fundamentals that we need to tackle right now. I'm just going to lay it down to you. First, be contextual. It's often easy to think that of a user journey like a storybook. Assume it's a storybook or a comic book or a story in general. If you open most books to any given page and select a word, you'll be met with an abundance of context and content on the page. You'll usually see the title of the book, the chapter, the page number, and the word or the font it appears contextually within a sentence, a paragraph, or word inside the page. Ensure that users are contextually aware of where they are within the journey. It's their map, their guide map, or their navigation compass. So you have to keep in mind to be really careful when it comes to this. Also, next tip for this kind of fundamentals, you have to be human. Well, kind of an oxymoron. Be human. In short, be approachable, trustworthy, transparent. Don't let your personality be opaque, shadowy, or some sort of robotic. So you have to provide human interaction over machine-like interaction. Don't consider people what most designers or what most businesses, what most D-rated businesses do. Treating the customer like they are numbers on a particular page. They're just numbers on a paper. But you have to treat them like humans in order to bring out the best empathy, which you have to empathize with the person. You have to feel the person. You have to make sure that they know that they understand you, that you understand them. Give them the best possible experience out there. And at the same time, our next guideline for this, or the next fundamental, be findable. Well, establish a strong information scent. Provide breadcrumbs or where you can be found. Provide way-finding signs that where you are, where you at. Be visible. Okay. Now, on next tip, be easy or try to make it easy. Now, reduce the user's workload, their computational cognitive thinking brain portion. You have to make it easy for them as possible. Be consistent, clear, concise, and establish a strong visual hierarchy of things that are inside your design, such as try to make a visual hierarchy. Try to make the emphasis of something the most important big. Or if you're trying to emphasize something more specific, try to use contrast between colors, black, white, or try to use low contrast colors to bright, vibrant colors as well. Now, on the next fundamental, what we're going to do, simplicity, or in short, be simple. Establish a strong signal to noise ratio. Avoid distractions. Avoid the jargons. Avoid the long loading times. Avoid those things. Make it convenient to your customers. Be something that will make it convenient for them to feel the positive vibe. Now, that's what you need to do. Now, establish a strong signal. I can't emphasize this any harder than that. Avoid having to make a certain language that they can't understand. Make it understandable for them. Make it easier for them. Make it convenient for them. That's what I have to tell you. Now, I'll admit that these are general important principles. They are broad, but this is by far the far-reaching implications. Some may be more important to interaction designers or information architects, while others may be more important to usability and specialists or user researchers in some respect. For me, the fundamentals of all these great designs go back further back for the Vitruvius, or one of the ancients of the Roman Empire, the Roman engineer who introduced the three principles to guide architectural design or beautiful aesthetics. Now, I'm going to provide you the trinity of it. Venustas, beauty or delight. Firmitas, firmness or soundness. Or utilitas, or utility or commodity. Or to put it in simpler terms, these are the three things that you need. Beauty, soundness, utility. Or, in other words, delight, firmness, or commodity. Now, those are the three principles that you need in order to build this. This is one of the best applications for architects or as designers in general. Now, we can easily map these three principles to the BTU model, or business, technology, and user, which is business equates to commodity, technology equates to soundness, and user equates to delight. Now, which is in common use, once you have the address each of these aspects, you can attain the level of aesthetic elegance, in which you apply the fewest resources for the maximum gain. The world-class UX design rests on you and is synonymous with world-class system design, as long as the system spans both the foundation technology and the people who benefit from it. The foundation of technology, that is. Now, focus on the needs of users and make them the focal point or the main point of your design process. Make it the nucleus or the direction to why you create. It may be stereotypical, cheesy, or just plain a cliche, but that's all UX designers is about. From a practical viewpoint, designers should understand that each user's point of view is unique, different from one another, or sometimes complementary from one another. So we must be empathetic. We must feel what they feel. So we must know what they know. We have to have a deep understanding to our users. Kind of like a friend. You must know well your friend. When are they upset? When are they sad? What do you need in order to provide to them the right balance in order to make them happy and to gain a better relationship with them? That's what it's all about when it comes to the user. That would be your advantage when it comes to these kinds of things. Now, we have to step outside our enclosed box to understand others' point of view as much as possible. Because the concept of a box, you have to think outside the box. To tell you the truth, there is no box. So you must build something that is more than a box. So, a little bit poetic, huh? Now, we're going to move on to our next topic, which is delivering the great design, or delivering design. I think you must be driving at is really more about how you can produce a great design. But I don't support, or I don't strongly believe that there is a set of hard steel principles that are applicable in all situations. You must have this means in order to integrate, navigate, or adjust. Be like the chameleon, adjusting its colors to the wilderness and environment. You must learn how to use that. Great design is the result of so many factors, not only a few within are in your control, particularly when you first start out as a designer. Being able to deliver the great design depends not only on your design ability, but on the way you manage the design process, your discipline, your time, on other participants in that process effectively. For example, you need to understand your client's goals and what drives them to do those goals, as well as the strengths and limitations of the underlying technology. Know the limitations. Great examples for this, of knowing the limitations of their technology or their capabilities. One of the best people that I know is Hideo Kojima. Although he's from a different field, but he's on the same side as us. He is very well integrated with the technology that he have. Well, to explain to you, Hideo Kojima is a game designer. More specifically, a director of games in Konami Productions, or Kojima Productions in short. Well, he does a lot of things when it comes to the design of the game, the experience of the game, and the feel of the game. So he tries not to be too impressed of the capabilities of the consoles that he possess, such as the PlayStation. He always look at what are the limitations of it. Although the PlayStation is very good, the PlayStation 3 is very capable of providing the best technology on that current date during a few years ago. But he always look at what are the nooks and crannies, or what are the chinks of its armor, and to see what limitations that it will have. And then he'll creatively think of a way, along with his team, to find a way to maximize the experience, even with the such limitations that were found on the given technology. But although the PlayStation is a very great and capable technology during the current time, during the 2000s, now you need to understand when and how to delegate tasks and how to share your ideas effectively with other designers and produce a product team members. Okay, now probably the most difficult thing of all is accepting that sometimes you cannot deliver the best design you're capable of, just the best design you can deliver within the context in which you're working on. When I first started this, when I first started with my designs, I always try to make the best of it. But you have to consider that you need to work on the chinks and armors of the things that you're not good at. But you have to learn how to accept about your limitations and try to find ways on how to mitigate it. But I suggest you should try to find a team. Try to expand your horizons when it comes to this. Now, I have explained almost enough for you about this lecture, and I appreciate that you made it this far on the lecture, and I'll see you on the next lecture, and happy designing.